Right, first of all, let me just apologise for not really interacting with the chat over the last few days. I normally take at least half hour each day. I read through every comment and reply to as many as possible, but quite frankly, work has gone a bit belly up. Well, not just for me, for everybody, because the world's gone absolutely mad. So I've been scrambling around trying to rescue as much as I possibly can at the moment. So apologies. So what I thought I'd do today is I thought I would read through a few of the comments and sort of highlight them and pop them up on screen and interact with you that way. What I will probably do tomorrow, by the way, because myself and Gio not had time for a cup of tea or a mug of tea this week, so we're going to do it next week. I'm just about to record the preview for the Fulham game. If you've got any questions or something we'd normally do, then pop them in the chat underneath here, and we'll deal with them in tomorrow's video, and we'll interact that way. But I've taken a few of your comments which I wanted to use anyway, which is basically the comments that have come back over the Sebastian Haller, Felipe Anderson, and Said Benrahma videos in particular. Now, before that, there was something I wanted to discuss. It was about Luka Jović. There was a story popped up earlier on in the week, but other stories happened, and you know, I didn't discuss it in the video. Okay, for those of you who don't know who it is, I'm sure most of you do. He is the centre forward who played at Frankfurt with Sebastian Haller as part of their attack in front three. They had a fantastic season, Frankfurt, which is why they sold Haller, why they sold Jović and a few other players besides. He went to Real Madrid. And he's complete for big money, 50-odd million. Completely flopped there, by the way. Not that that is any reflection on him as a player. He's a talented player, very, very good finisher. We've seen that with James Rodriguez at Everton, who flopped at Bayern Munich, and he's doing really rather well over it. Doesn't mean you're a bad player. If it wasn't just Bayern Munich, of course, Real Madrid. My point is, flopping at Real Madrid is no indicator of how good or bad a player you might be. But anyway, my point is, it was suggested that we might sign him. West Ham might sign Jović to complement Sebastian Haller. It ain't going to happen. And it's because David Moyes is not prepared to switch the formation to accommodate one forward. He's certainly not going to switch the formation to accommodate two. And it doesn't really matter whether they performed well at Frankfurt or not, and they really did. They almost propelled them to Europa Cup glory. Europa Cup, I think so. What's UEFA? It changes so much. It's hard to keep. But you know, codger like me, it's hard to keep up on what they constantly call it. So anyway, it's just not going to happen. David Moyes won't sanction it. He won't have it. He doesn't. I just don't feel he wants Sebastian Haller there. Never mind, take somebody else in to play alongside Sebastian Haller. I just don't feel that that's the way he's going at all. Right, there's a couple of things in your comments before I get to your comments. There's a few of them there. One of them's one of them was fantastic because it is to do, and it's to do with Felipe Anderson. There's a lot of them are. Felipe Anderson is a frustrating player, certainly. Now, this is from Fazamania. To give it some context, what I'd said about Felipe Anderson was that he seems to have a talent, but he doesn't seem to be able to. He doesn't seem to have the work rate to really get the best out of that talent, basically. Anyway, Fazamania has said, and I loved it. I love this comment. He said, "I bet everybody on here," he means on the channel and on the comments and whatnot, "once played with a very talented footballer that never made it, but also knows a pro who was just a committed and hard worker when they were young." Now, that's fantastic, and it leads to a story. I'll tell you a story, and he's absolutely right, because I'll tell you mine. I'll tell you mine about the fantastic player. Hard workers, yeah. I mean, look, we all know them. I know of a hard worker who went on and actually played for West Ham. But anyway, that aside, we're talking about somebody brilliant here. I'm the same age as Jamie Redknapp, right? And I used to live in Ilford until I was 13. Then my stepfather, he got a job, and we had to move away. He used to work in London, and the place where he worked moved to Bournemouth, so we had to relocate. So we moved from Bournemouth moved from Ilford down to Bournemouth when I was 13. And I was no good at football, useless footballer, as the patrons will testify. Because in the summer, I was doing keep you uppy challenges out in the garden. So they've seen my football skills, and they are not formidable at all. But I used to be quick, so I used to run at 3A's level. I used to run at county level. So when I went down to Bournemouth, my PE teacher very quickly saw that I was fast. He started chucking me in teams. I mean, I'm that small, right? And he played me in the basketball team just because I was quick. Hockey team, cricket, anything. They put me everywhere. I said, right, okay, you can be in the football team as well. So they stuck me on the right wing, which is what always happens. So anyway, we were doing quite well in the school team. We got to the semi-finals of the Dorset Schools Cup. And on the semi-finals, we were drawn against Jamie Redknapp's school. Now, Jamie Redknapp was somebody who was known. Number one, he had a famous dad, right? But number two, it was very well known in the area that he was going to be a famous and successful footballer. He had the pedigree. When Harry went, I think wherever he went, when Harry went over to the States, basically, to play his football at the end of his career, Moore was over there, Bobby Moore was over there, all of them were over there. So I think Jamie Redknapp very much grew up training with Bobby Moore and you know, some of these wonderful players. And everyone knew about him because everyone knew he was the best footballer in the county. He was coming through at Bournemouth. He made his debut at 16. So when we got drawn against their school, we thought, hello, we're going to play against Jamie Redknapp here. And it was all in the local paper was called the Echo, the Evening Echo, the Bournemouth Echo, something like that. And he was in it. We drew against, and then when we saw him warming up, there was a player that was better than Jamie Redknapp. We didn't expect to see a player that was Jamie Redknapp. Stephen something, his name was. And just before the game was about to kick off, Jamie Redknapp got pulled, and we know why he got pulled because he actually made his debut for Bournemouth quite shortly after that. So I guess the football club just turned around and said, we can't risk you in this school game. So anyway, this guy played, and I mean, funny enough, someone's left a comment about Benrahma, amongst others here. He was a bit like that. He was one of those. He was tricks, he was flicks, nutmegs, pirouettes. And what he couldn't do with a ball weren't worth knowing. And he was completely running the game. And anyway, absolutely fantastic. And for some reason, during the game, I found myself in a defensive position. I found myself in the box. Anyway, this kid comes dribbling in, giving it all the step overs and all the Cristiano Ronaldos and all the stuff. And he showed me one way and then went the other. Oh God! And for some reason, I wasn't trying to foul him, but I just kicked him straight in the gut. And he went down. And it was such a bad foul. And the referee didn't give a penalty, by the way. It was such a bad foul. Look, I went, not like that as if to say I never touched him. I actually went, sorry. Like this. Anyway, he's down on the ground. He's not dived. I'll tell you he's not dived because I'd absolutely booted him really hard in the gut. My team would have done this. So everyone's body language was very much saying this guy's just committed a murder. Everyone's, penalty, and the people, and anyway, we actually ended up, we cleared it up the field, but everyone was just like statues, and the referee didn't give the penalty anyway. Yeah, there you go. That was my story. That was the most skillful player I ever saw. I assaulted with a karate kick. There we go. We lost, by the way. We lost. We never made it to the final. Such is life. So that's my story of the skillful player. Yeah, sorry, probably didn't tune in for that, did you? There we go. Anyway, so that was Phasomania, and thank you for that. You gave me an opportunity to remember something I'd completely forgotten about. Chills is talking about Felipe Anderson. Chills said, I'm glad Porto's manager has called Anderson out and didn't just do a Moyes in praising every player at the club. Okay, he's talking about Porto's manager here, and thank you for sending that in, who has had a right go at Felipe Anderson, which is what I was alluding to. Now, hold on. I totally get what he's saying about David Moyes saying nice things about players, but I don't think for a second David Moyes does that in private, by the way. Not a single chance. I reckon he says all the right things. Sebastian Haller's got a place in the squad. All of these things, such and such played well. All of this stuff, I bet he gets in the change room, he gives them the hairdryer treatment. He got the look of a geezer that can get angry, David Moyes. Anyway, listen, before I go any further forward, because I almost forgot, and don't want to get me bottom smacked, Patreon. let me try and tempt you into signing up to our Patreon. Not with any favours of that description, of course. So the first 2 occasions I spoke about the 2 tiers, the lower tier, $3.50 tier, $5 tier. This is the $7 tier, £6. £6 a month. What you get for this, for your £6 a month, you get the opportunity to support Hammer's Chat, which is makes you feel all warm and fluffy inside. You get access to everything in the other tiers. You also get a mug of tea, which is like a cup of tea, but bigger, because it's a mug, which is myself and Gio doing a monthly podcast, which we do exclusively on Patreon. You also get the breakfast build-up show, which is myself and Gio, bleary-eyed, mug... Oh, crikey, I've let that go cold on. That's not nice. That's not nice. You get... Yes, we do a breakfast build-up show every match day. You also get the player ratings, which we do every match day. That's in the other tier as well. The quarterly channel update videos, the 2 Patreon podcasts, early access to our videos, opportunity to appear on the podcasts, and a partridge in a pear tree. You don't actually get the partridge in a pear tree. Anyway, if you'd like to support us, please do click the link below. That takes you to our Patreon. You sign up. It's as simple as that. There we go. Anyway, another comment. Not mine. Obviously, I've made plenty. Farmer Chris, we know Farmer Chris, he said, I have unfortunately lost all faith in Anderson and Haller purely because of how disinterested they look whilst on the pitch. I spoke about body language earlier on, Chris. It's not good enough, quite frankly. You can look disinterested, but only under very certain circumstances. Matt Le Tissier could have bad body language, look disinterested, purely because I think he'd already scored 100 goals for Southampton, kept them up 5 or 6 times, and was absolute genius and brilliant, and he would look disinterested, then score the winning goals. You can't look disinterested and be crap. It's quite important. I've worked with quite a few people in my time who at least they were crap at what they did, didn't do any work. The lazy, most bone idle people I've ever met, but at least they understood the value of looking busy when the governor came around, right? They would look like they were doing something. They would look like they were up to the task. I'm not saying it's the be all and end all. Clearly, it's more important sticking the ball in the back of the net or whatever. But when things ain't going for you, at least look like you're trying. And I totally do get that, Chris. Personally, I think both of them tried. I don't think it was an effort thing, by the way, particularly with Felipe Anderson. I think it was a lack of belief that stopped him doing it. Well, the one other thing I wanted to say on this one, and first of all, there's such a long message from Jamie, Jamie is a Brentford fan, and he's done a really, really long post about Benrahma and what Benrahma offers and how Benrahma occupies defenders and what Benrahma brings to the team. Jamie, it's such a long post. I want to thank you for writing it. I have read it. I'm not going to read it out now, otherwise this 13-minute video is going to be a 20-minute video. But I take what you're saying about Benrahma occupying players and making space for others and so on and so forth. And thanks for writing it. The one I want to finish on is a comment from, I hope I pronounce this all right. He's a regular contributor. I should have worked out how to pronounce it by now. It's Saisamon. Have I got that right? Saisamon? I'll pop it up there. Hopefully I haven't completely ruined my attempt at that name. He said, didn't your young pal tell you that Anderson was no good? From his own country, I think. Now, what he's alluding to, I know exactly what you mean there, mate, by the way. That's you're talking about Daniel, who used to do videos for us, or has sent in 2 or 3 videos. Hey, used to. Daniel, you're very welcome, mate. Everyone loved you, by the way. Send in some more videos, mate, because you really knew your stuff. But Daniel lived in Brazil and was Brazil. Well, of course, yeah. Most people that are Brazilian live in Brazil. Let's just establish that. I think that's fine, isn't it? I don't know what I was thinking. Daniel from Brazil, Brazilian Daniel. He said he didn't say that Felipe Anderson was no good. I think he was basically suggesting, he was saying to us, I don't think you appreciate what player you've got. I think Daniel was saying, I think you think you've got a Trickmeister. I think you've got Robinho or Neymar. You haven't. He's a direct player. Not in fact, in many respects, not in the mould of Brazilian attackers as we sort of understand them. Everyone loves the Brazilian attackers, don't they? Full of skill and all the rest of it. I think he was very much saying he ain't that. He's not that player. So I'd actually would love you for you to send in another video, actually, Daniel, and let us know what you think of the current situation with Felipe Anderson. Certainly, but I do get what he was saying. Yeah, so that was what Daniel was very much alluding to. He's not all that, and I certainly get the feeling that Daniel wouldn't be surprised that things have not worked out for Felipe Anderson. And it's quite funny actually, because it's so easy to be partisan and just to be loyal because somebody is from your country. You know, he could have been coming on making videos saying Anderson is going to do really well for West Ham, and you know, he's a West Ham fan in Brazil, and a Brazilian was playing West Ham. It would have been easy for him to say, yeah, he's going to be brilliant, but he didn't. He said, oh, I'm not sure it's going to work out. He's not the right type of player. But what I always loved about Daniel's videos there was, particularly at a time when we had no scouts. I'm not sure if that's changed, by the way. He actually came up with a list of 10 other players that we might want to buy. And everybody was on the video saying, hold on, the comments were underneath. Maybe we should get this guy as our scout. And yeah, I mean, a couple of them I checked out and I looked on YouTube, which is all we can do. I can't actually go to Brazil personally to scout the players. Unlike the Silky Borg director of football, who can do that. But yeah, Daniel, look, he won't be surprised at all. Right, listen, tomorrow's video, leave some comments underneath, leave some questions, leave some, yeah, you know, give us something to talk about for tomorrow's video. And right, I think that's about it. Thanks for sticking with me. Thank you for listening to my story of my school football team, which I never thought I'd really be discussing on one of these YouTube videos. But there you go, Jackanory, story time with Gonzo, just to send you all to sleep first thing in the morning when I upload this video at 8:30 or whatever. Right, I'll catch up with you tomorrow.